Now for the next weapon, the return of the bowgun. Crossbow handgun, a powerful bowgun which is mainly used for hunting. So, once again, it's Claire with a bowgun, just like in Resident Evil 2. And a long time from now, it's going to use it once again in Revelations 2. Alright, so let's go ahead and test the bowgun out. Alright, so unlike Resident Evil 2, it only fires one bow at a time instead of 3, but it compensates by increasing the firing speed a lot more from Resident Evil 2. 30 bows is not the limit for this bowgun. It's just if you start with it and shoot all the arrows out and you have ammo left over, it reloads 30 into it. But if you just do it manually like this, you can get all of the bows in there. That's just insane. It's kind of like the grenade launcher. Alright, so I'm going to test the bowgun on a zombie. Alright, so that took 13 arrows to take down a zombie. So the bowgun is definitely weaker than any handgun bullet-based weapon. But I don't know if a handgun is the right weapon to compare the bowgun with. Honestly, in my opinion, the bowgun with regular arrows is a pretty crappy weapon. I don't know where it would come in handy other than the fact that there are so many arrows throughout the game, you'll probably never run out of ammo. Alright, so we're not quite done with the bowgun yet. Throughout the game, you find these special gunpowder arrows, and they are created by finding gunpowder and combining them with regular arrows. So when I combine this with the bowgun, the description isn't different, it just changed the kind of arrows. So let's see what the explosive arrows do. Alright, so it definitely makes those arrows a lot more lethal. So, I already know they're too powerful to test on a zombie. They'll go down in one hit, guaranteed. So, I'm gonna go ahead and test the explosive arrows on a slightly tougher enemy, the Bandersnatch. Alright, so it took 2 explosive bowgun arrows to take down a Bandersnatch. I probably should have tested the regular arrows on the Bandersnatch to compare, but the explosive bowgun arrows would have taken only 1 arrow on a regular zombie. And you saw how many regular arrows to take down a zombie, so that should tell you well enough that the explosive bowgun arrows are like 10 times more powerful than the regular arrows. In fact, the explosive arrows are good for practically all the enemies in this game, so you probably want to save those up and use them on more powerful enemies. Well, that is it for the explosive arrows on the bowgun, as well as the bowgun in general. Now for this game's only submachine gun. Engram, a 38 caliber submachine gun. It uses DOT 380 ammo. Alrighty then, so you first get these when using Steve for the one and only time you get to, and it's his only weapon throughout, and you hardly ever use it. There's only a few zombies to defeat here and there. But when you gain control of Chris, you could also acquire these. As long as you gave Rodrigo the hemostat earlier in the game, you could defeat the gulp worm and he will give you the lighter as a gift. And then you can use the lighter to unlock these submachine guns. So let's test the submachine gun out. Alright, so as you saw there, Steve has a special ability with the submachine guns. He could cross-aim it if you have only one enemy. I never knew that until very recently. I didn't show that in my original review. So, I am not going to test the submachine gun on a zombie. I'm going to test it on a Bandersnatch. Alright, so it took 5% to take down a Bandersnatch with a submachine gun. Now, as I recall, 1% is equal to 3 individual shots. That means it took between 15 and 17 shots to take down a Bandersnatch. Now, there was an extra shot off at the end there, so it's possible that it was only 14 shots, but it doesn't matter really that much. So 5%, decent firepower against the Bandersnatch anyway. And this is a good weapon to use with Chris. Alright, well, that is it for the submachine gun.
I don't want to talk about it! Father!
Now for this game's only assault rifle. The AK-47 assault rifle. It uses 7.62mm bullets. Alright, so let's test the assault rifle out. Alright, so not nearly as fast as the submachine guns, so let's go ahead and test the AK-47 on a Bandersnatch. Alright, so it took 7% to take down a Bandersnatch with the assault rifle. So that means apparently the assault rifle is weaker than the submachine guns. Or perhaps, I didn't take this into account, maybe the fact that the submachine gun is a dual wielding weapon, maybe that 5% was actually 30 shots and not 15. I don't know. Maybe someone who really knows this game could possibly tell me. Otherwise, it is kind of weird that the assault rifle took more percentage than the submachine gun did. So 7%, that means between 21 and 23 shots to take down a Bandersnatch. Alright, well, that is it for the assault rifle. Alright, now for another weapon. The sniper rifle. MR7. This is an American bolt-action rifle. You can snipe a distant enemy with its scope. Alright, and if you didn't know, this is the first game in the Resident Evil franchise to feature a sniper rifle. And this is the sniper rifle that Alfred Ashford hunts you down with throughout most of the first half of the game, so you get to use it eventually. Alright, now there's no point in testing this out really, because since it's a sniper rifle, you look through the scope and there's no way to view it really in action, since there's no reload animation or ammunition for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go straight to the enemy testing, and there's really only one enemy you can test it on, and that is the mutated Alexander Ashford. Or I guess its technical name is Nosferatu.
I've got you now.
Alright, Alright, so there's the only part of the game where you could really use the sniper rifle. So I ended the fight before I used up all 7 bullets. So that means if you're good enough and aim very carefully, you can end that fight pretty fast. However, if you don't end it by the 7th shot, I hope you brought other weapons, because then that's the only way you're gonna defeat him at that point. That sniper rifle really is to end him fast and to trigger that cutscene. Sniper rifle, you get that special shot, and I love that. Alright, that is it for the sniper rifle.
Tell me, who do you work for? Who sent you?
Now for the game's one and only shotgun. SPAS 12. A combat shotgun developed for military use. It uses 12 gauge shell. Shell? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and test the shotgun out. Alright, being a slightly more powerful weapon than what I've reviewed so far, I'm gonna go ahead and test the shotgun on a hunter. More specifically, a sweeper. They're a different kind of hunter. Alright, so it took 3 shotgun shells to take down a sweeper at close range. So, typical shotgun usage right there. You always want to use it at close range. That's what a shotgun really is for close range combat. And against the hunter, it's not a bad weapon. You can keep him at bay with this. Like I always say in most of my weapon reviews, the shotgun is a pretty good all-around weapon. Unfortunately, though, you don't get it until Chris's scenario. Alright, that is it for the shotgun. Now for this game's one and only Magnum. Colt Python. An American gun, uses 357 Magnum rounds. So this is the Colt Python apparently from the original Resident Evil game. So let's go ahead and test it out. Alright, so out of all the Resident Evil games, I feel like the Magnum in this game has the least impressive, firing in general. It's not very loud, and you could fire it pretty fast for a Magnum. Alright, I'm gonna test the Magnum on a Black Widow spider. That is the boss spider you face when retrieving Alexander's earring. Alright, so I'm not sure if that first shot hit it at all, so I'll say between 3 and 4 shots to take down the Black Widow with the Magnum. Now, that is considered a boss, I guess, although that fight is skippable. You don't have to fight it, you just have to quickly pick up Alexander Ashford's earring. But if you do decide to fight it, the Magnum is a good weapon to use, obviously, from that test. Now, I recommend the Magnum strictly for boss battles, just like that. I would save it all the way up to the Alexia Ashford fight, because there is very limited ammo on it. You only pick up 2 sets of bullets in the entire game, apparently, so you have a maximum of 18 shots from the Magnum to use. So yeah, that is my recommendation right there. Alright, now it's time for my awesome Magnum tradition. I'm gonna take the Magnum and take it to the most standard enemy, which would be a zombie, and I'm gonna take it to his head for the explosive headshot. Now, unfortunately, Code Veronica is the first game in the series that eliminates the decapitation phase for some damnable reason. So, you're not gonna see decapitation, but you are gonna see some pieces of the head flying, and the zombie just getting obliterated. So, let's do this. Headshot! Alright, that is it for the Colt Python Magnum.